time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on GoodTalkRadio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin, take 2. We're going to try this again. So Danny's doing some quick sharing here, and while he is doing that, actually, I'm going to take care of a couple little items that we always take care of about this time of the day. And right there, you see the UNJ promo code, and that is for Hunter's Blend Coffee. Go over to huntersblendcoffee.com, use the UNJ promo code, and you can save 10% on your order of Hunter's Blend Coffee, which we are actually drinking tonight here in the cabin. Danny, you got your cream and yours. You ready to rock?
I'm almost ready.
Okay, but that is not all. If you go over to Buck Baits at buckbaits.com and use the Up North Journal promo code, you can save 20% off your order there. And go to their website. They've got some new items that they've just released on the page there. They're available for this season. Some really cool stuff that we got a little preview to here recently. So I don't want to spoil the trip over there. So you guys go over and check that out. But in the last one here is rebel6rubs.com. Go over and use North Journal promo code on their website, and you can save 20% off your order there. And as always, we love to use that stuff on just about everything that we eat. Am I not mistaken, Dan?
You are absolutely correct.
So, but without further ado, let's just get into tonight's show. What do you think, Dan?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we have a special guest tonight with us, none other than Carrie Z from HuntFishTravel. Carrie, how you doing tonight?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Carrie.
Are you enjoying the lovely weather today? It's finally spring.
Right.
Feels like it.
Well, I'm glad you're west of us. You're over in Wisconsin, so I'm glad that you sent that all the way over here to Michigan for us to enjoy.
happy to share.
Yeah. What's the temperature over there?
Oh, I don't even know. It's warm. It's supposed to get up to like 50-something today. So
Really? Okay. That's warmer than here then.
Grilling.
We got 45.
45. I'll take 45.
Right. I'll take 45. It's 54 as of 2:15.
I heard a big crash about an hour ago on the roof, and I'm like, what was that? And I think it was ice coming off the upper level on the eaves trough. So
Oh, sure.
I was like, uh-oh. I hope it didn't put a hole in the roof. But
Right, exactly.
Speaking of ice, it's kind of the direction we're going with the show tonight. Have you still got ice over there on the lakes?
Not really.
Nothing that's safe?
We really haven't had a lot of safe ice at all this year, mostly up in the northern parts of Wisconsin. But I don't know, there's some crazy folks that went out with just ice fishing around here. But I don't feel like it's very safe.
Right. Do you guys get the proverbial crazy people who go out when they shouldn't and they have to get rescued or they fall through and like with their equipment or maybe even a vehicle?
Yes. Absolutely.
There's always a few of those in the crowd. Come on now.
Right.
Always.
Well,
Right?
I've seen pictures for the last 3 or 4 years of you and your crew rolling out onto the big ice up on Lake Winnebago. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And
The largest inland lake in Wisconsin.
doing some sturgeon spearing. How did you know? That's what we want to talk about today is sturgeon spearing because the only access we've got to it here in Michigan is Black Lake, and we're only allowed to take 6 fish. So,
Yeah.
How did you get involved with this?
Oh, boy. So I have been sturgeon spearing for 9 years, but the 2 years previous to that, I don't know, I think I was just looking for like blog content or something like that and tooling around looking to see what was going on one weekend, and they were like, oh, we're sturgeon spearing up in the Fond du Lac area. I was like, that's interesting. So I took a drive up there, and they have all these check-in stations at all these bars,
Okay.
and there was all these fish, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
Oh.
And then the second year, I really delved into it, and I don't know, it just caught my attention. So
And it's something you said
And then
I got to be a part of.
seriously, yeah. And then and the Fond du Lac Area Visitors Bureau was really, really instrumental in fueling that fire. I don't know when it was, 2011, 2012, something like that. They started this Women on Winnebago event, and they invited all these female media folks out there and to sturgeon spear, and they took us out, and they really showed us a good time. Unfortunately, no one was successful the first 2 years.
Okay.
But which is not uncommon. But I don't know, it's really cool. And anybody who hasn't done it, especially if you live in Wisconsin, you should just go out there and check it out. Because it's not even about the fishing. I mean, it is about the fishing, but the success rate is really low. It's more about the culture and the excitement and the camaraderie. And it's just super something fun to do in February.
Well, I can imagine, like you said, the success rate is low. So I imagine if somebody in one shanty gets one, all the other people come a running to look to see it.
Oh, it's a party.
Is it really? That's what I figured. But I just, when, like you said, looking at some of the pictures that we're rolling through, it looks like there's a ton of people out there, and your success rate being so low, like I said, somebody gets one, they're going to know it, and you're going to be running to see it. And
this year was very different from years past. We've had sketchy ice or bad weather and bad water clarity in years past, but this year with the weather being so warm, there were a lot of places that were really unsafe, and we weren't supposed to drive vehicles out there, and that's tough. Lake Winnebago, I forget how many miles long it is and how many miles. It's like, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 miles, something like that. It's a big lake. So to have to walk to your shanty 1.5 miles out onto the lake at 5 a.m. sucks. So we went with an outfitter this year with Wentz again, and they took us out on ATVs because the ice just wasn't safe enough for vehicles, which we always in the past have driven out there.
Right. I'm rolling some video now that you sent to us from your 2016 highlights.
Yeah. Super fun.
God, it looks like it's so cold.
Here. It was in the negative temperatures and the wind was just whipping. But when you're in the dark house, when you're in the ice shanty, it's really warm. You really do get overheated. You've got that heater cranking, and even though you're sitting on the ice and the floor is kind of cold, you stay toasty warm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got to imagine that if it's like our deer hunting little shacks that we use, what we call deer blind, we run heaters in there. You can actually take your coat off. You can get right down to almost like a base layer. It gets so warm.
You do.
And I got to imagine it's kind of the same thing there with that. How many people do you guys run in an ice house fishing at one time?
So they usually have two different styles. You have your single, where you could just have your just one spearing hole, that one person, or you have doubles where two people can sit in there. You can double up it, but 3 is a crowd.
3's a crowd. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I tell you what, looking at some of the stats on Lake Winnebago itself, it's 215 square miles, and it's
huge.
Then my next question I was going to ask you on the depth of this, it's an averaging depth of 15.5 feet and maximum of 21, which is not really a deep lake at all.
It's a very shallow lake.
I got to imagine in the summer that the waves get up on that pretty quick, too, with some wind being that
They do.
shallow. Now,
and we have these things called ice shoves, where when you get the ice on the lake and then that wind is just whipping, and it'll move these huge sections of ice up onto the shore.
Okay. Kind of like what in the Great Lakes, so what they call almost like an ice flow.
Yes, exactly. Except it'll shove it one on top of another, so you get these layers of these just sheets of ice. It's crazy.
So it's more like a stacking effect.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the other side.
Yeah,
of
we get that on the lake if we got it over.
Yeah.
The wind whips up and it just starts stacking it.
Well, looking at the whole thing, getting started and all that, let's take a little bit of a step back. You guys have got pretty liberal limits as far as what they allow over there, as far as how many fish are caught. Here in Michigan, I think it's 6, 5,
I
or
think
6,
so.
something like that.
5 or 6.
That's allowed, and I think that our season only goes what, Dan? Is it 3 or 4 or 5 days?
It goes until they catch the amount of.
Oh, does it?
I think it goes until they catch their number of fish, and then it's done.
Okay. Well, I'm just throwing up the stats here, and you guys have got like a 1,200 fish limit, including the upper river lakes and the whole Lake Winnebago. That's quite a bit.
We do. And it's funny because the Lake Winnebago, Lake Sturgeon conservation effort is really one of the most successful conservation efforts and stories in Wisconsin, in my opinion. Back in the 70s, they were just hunted, and they were garbage fish. They'd get caught in the fishing nets and stuff, and they were just decimated. And through some of the biologists and the DNR and the Sturgeon for Tomorrow organization, they really brought the populations back. We have over 18,000 adult females. Wow. And almost 25,000 adult males. So for us, the cat, because they're such slow growers, they're really ancient animals. Right. It takes a long time for them to mature. We set the caps really low just so that we don't overfish them.
Right. Well, and that just makes sense. That's just good conservation. Yeah. And going back to looking at the numbers here, explain a little bit about the upper river lakes. What lakes are those that are included in that? Do you know?
Let's see, I have to look at a map. It's Lake Poygan, Butte-des-Morts. If you look, so there's like a little river that connects Lake Winnebago to these other lakes, and the fish will use the river there as a spawning highway.
Okay.
So it's a big deal to draw one of those tags because you're not almost guaranteed a fish, but it's super shallow and it's just they're back and forth, so you always know where they're going to be. Where Lake Winnebago is such a huge lake, it's a crapshoot. You could set your shanty up anywhere and one might swim under you, maybe.
Okay.
We're up there, it's a little more guaranteed because they're using it as the highway.
Okay, so I got the map up now, and I can see the other lakes that you're talking about. With those, you said you have to draw a tag for those, so that's a limited draw for those other lakes?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's a very small amount of tags that you get up there. I've put in for it the last, 4 or 5 years, and I have not drawn one. So maybe eventually. I just keep getting the preference points.
Feel yourself lucky, Carrie, because here in Michigan, this past February, the season was going to run February 1 through 5 up on Black Lake. And this year, it was going to start at February 1st, 8 a.m. And it did. And guess what? It lasted 6 hours. It ended at 1:40 p.m. that same day. They harvested 6.
Wow.
Yeah. I think last year you guys capped the season in like 80 minutes or something ridiculous like that.
Right.
Crazy.
Exactly. So it looks like there was a number here. They had 472 registered anglers.
Okay. Now, do we have to draw a tag for that or not? Or do
you have to register.
Just register.
You have to be a registered angler. They invite everybody to do it. And it looks like to me what they do is they put you on the alert system of texting or whatever they're going to use. And they say go at 8 o'clock and first of 6. And then it's over.
Then you get that text that says stop fishing right now.
And then you're done.
You're done.
But over in Winnebago, it looks like, man, it. How long does that season go over there?
It's 16 days. And then obviously we have the trigger. If a certain amount of females are taken, it triggers the closing of the season. Okay. We've had years, sturgeon spearing's been around for almost 100 years. And we've had years where it's closed in the first couple of days, just with great water clarity or, they're moving around in great ice conditions. But the last few years, it's gone the full 16 days, and we have not reached the harvest cap. We have something like 12,000 licenses were sold.
Wow.
This year. Yeah.
That's a lot.
They were saying that not even half of those license holders were out fishing this year because of poor ice conditions.
Well, I was throwing up another little thing here. It's talking about your season, which it kind of surprised me, or the fishing times, spearing hours are from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can't spear past 1. Right.
You can't even be in the dark house with a spear in it past 1 or before 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. It used to be 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's just to protect the population.
Gotcha. Are they more susceptible at night to be speared?
No.
Okay. I was just wondering.
They're bottom feeders, so they're constantly moving.
Okay. And then it talks about your tag system here. It's $20 for a resident and $65 for a non-resident, which to me I thought would probably be more than that.
Yeah, you would think that'd be more than that. So
expensive.
So you got all these people that have to end their fishing at 1 o'clock. That leaves a lot of downtime before the next day of fishing.
Sounds like party time.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the local towns, obviously a lot of the supper clubs and the bars, they all host events. There's Fishing with No Boundaries hosts a big tent out on the ice, and they have bands and like a lot of bands. It's just a really big celebration. They've got ice bowling, they have ice kiting and stuff to keep you busy for the afternoon. All the restaurants. It's super fun trying to get off the ice at 1 o'clock, let me tell you, because there's only so many lunches.
Right? You know what? Let's step out, take a break, and let's talk about getting off the ice.
All right. Let's take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We're talking a little sturgeon spearing.
A little. This sounds like this is a big event.
Sounds like it's
you're
winter carnival.
It does. It almost sounds whether you are actually fishing or you're just a visitor or it sounds like way Carrie Z was. Everybody in the area gets into it and makes it a fun time, right, Carrie?
It is. It's just so. It was available on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. It's definitely on Amazon Prime. If you haven't watched it, The Frozen Chosen was a documentary created about the sturgeon spearing culture and some of the history of some of the families. Some of these families have literally been spearing for 85 years.
No kidding.
And the grandparents, the grandmothers, and yeah, it's a really neat documentary, and it will get you fired up. It'll show you how nuts we are and how nuts you want to be with us. I promise.
Well, if do you know where the Hartford area is?
Yes, I used to live right next door.
That's where Dan Anderson's from. So
Oh,
see, so Dan Anderson has just been called nuts, and we didn't even have to do it.
awesome.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that.
Yeah, right. So we're not gonna get in trouble. I like it.
So I got to imagine, the way you're describing this, that in my mind, I'm picturing like grumpy old men style. You get a bunch of people out there, you get some grumpy old guys, there's a little bit of beer drinking going on, probably a lot of beer drinking going on.
A lot of beer drinking, a lot of Bloody Marys.
Yeah, okay. And, but obviously there is some fishing going on, right?
Oh, yeah, it is. So the hardest part about sturgeon spearing is actually the spearing part. You're looking in this yellowish green, 8 foot by 4 foot square with nothing happening for 6 hours straight.
It kind of reminds me of like a TV almost. You're looking into a glow of a TV, a big screen, because this is a big hole.
I know. They say it's like shooting ducks through a chimney. Super fun. Watching nothing.
I noticed one thing. We got the picture of the hole, and you're looking down the hole with the decoy.
Yeah.
Do you guys drop anything into the water to get on the floor of the lake? So, like potato chips or anything that...
Right there, Dan. Look at the picture.
Okay, so there's an X. What's that X?
So, a lot of people use PVC pipe or lattice work to break up the bottom of the lake, so you could just see them. You see the shadow, or you see them crossing over it.
Yes.
And it's easier to see them. And you can use it, too, as a point of reference, because we do have, I believe, somebody's going to shoot me, 32 or 36 inches is the minimum length. And sometimes they'll cut the PVC pipes so that you can, as they cross, or, they can kind of line up with the X, you can see how long they are to make sure that they're a legal fish to take. You cannot use anything organic.
Gotcha.
But you can use all sorts of interesting things. They're super curious. So people use disco balls. They're scent motivated. So one of the old fishermen's tales is to use an old used coffee cup. You put it down there, which we tried. Did not work for me, but whatever.
You know why? Probably because you guys didn't have Hunter's Blend coffee in the cup. That's probably what it was. Seriously, you guys put coffee cup down the hole.
Yep, sure do. And they'll come and they'll stick their nose in it to see what the smell is. I mean, we use all sorts of stuff. One year I went out and I got pom-poms and I had them and they were like floating in the water and sparkling. And people have used broken CDs. Like the shimmering will attract them. And it's crazy. You can use anything.
And Carrie, Dan Anderson from Wisconsin says, "Hi, Carrie. I've never speared. Didn't know there was that much to it. And being from Wisconsin, we can make a party of any event."
True story.
I think next year, Danny, maybe we've been saying we're going to come over there, but it always coincides with an event that we do every year. But one of these times, we're going to have to go over, pick up Dan Anderson, and just show up there and maybe knock on the ice house where Carrie Z's at.
I don't know. I saw that one video. It says -4 or 7 or something like that. It's a little chilly.
Got to turn the heat up.
Yeah, but then some years it'll be like 35 degrees and you're out there in a t-shirt and your bibs. I mean, it's crazy.
Right, exactly. You never know. It's you never know from one year to the other. And like you said, you're using anything from coffee cups to disco balls to CDs to, PVC.
It's crazy.
It's almost like you start getting into that having a what's the word I'm looking for? You got to have your special PVC piping that weekend, or you won't catch anything.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing you're superstitious.
Oh, yeah.
Superstition. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. And people there are people out there that make a really good living just carving decoys. These decoys are going for anywhere from $20 to $400, depending on the detail. They're hand carved. They're beautiful.
Well, you sent 2 pictures over. I mean, yeah, these things are pretty colorful. It's not just like your usual fish decoy. I mean, the little one there, he's got like a little curve to his tail, and the other one, is the other one supposed to be more like kind of like a perch? Is that the idea with that?
Yeah, I believe so. And some of them, they're just painted really vibrant colors. Like I said, they're curious little animals, so anything you can do to catch their attention.
So you said they're scent motivated as well.
Yes.
So any particular scent that, or is it just any scent?
No, they feed on bloodworms. So, like I said, they're almost like bullheads or catfish almost. They've got, the little sucker on the bottom where they're constantly rooting through the bottom to dig up whatever the bloodworm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to chum the water with stuff like that? Something that
Nope.
you're not allowed to do any of that.
Nope,
Okay.
you're literally hoping that they just pass by.
Gotcha. Well,
It's worse than deer hunting.
Right?
When it comes to boredom some days.
oh,
Well, I tell you what, you get a couple people staring down that hole. I tell you, after a while, it does get monotonous.
People will never know the excitement when you see a shad after like 4 days of seeing nothing, and you see this little minnow or something. Oh my God. It's like you're tweeting about it. And I saw a walleye or whatever.
So, okay, I got to ask, have
Okay.
you ever speared one or saw one?
I have not.
Okay.
Which is, like I said, it's not uncommon. For example, this year, I don't know how many fish were taken this year, but it's 13,000 people out there spearing, and if the cap is 1,200, it's a pretty low percentage. The success rate is very low.
Okay.
It does happen, though. I mean, some people, there are people who go out and they'll scout. So they'll go down and they'll find where the bloodworms are or whatever, because that's going to be where their feeding grounds are. A lot of these people do a lot of scouting, or they just have their favorite spots where they go out all throughout the year and they take cameras and they really kind of almost pattern them, because they're fish. I mean, patterning fish is pretty tough, but some people get like one a year or one every other year.
So
I have not.
They kind of got it figured out then, somewhat.
They do. And a lot of those are like the family fishermen too, where they've been doing it every year for 85 years, so they know their game.
Gotcha.
I'm still relatively new to it.
Okay, so that reminds me of something now that you just kind of explained it that way. So people don't give away their secret sturgeon spot, do they?
No. And I'm not saying that guides won't put you on the, secret spot, but I mean, they've got a bunch of people. They're just I'm sure they're doing some scouting and stuff, but they've got a lot of people to place, and they can't place everybody in the super awesome spot. And again, it could be a super awesome spot 3 days ago, and then fish are like, I'm just going to go ahead and head over here.
Well, that's right. And, and you talk about family upon family, these generations upon generation. That definitely tells me, no, I'm not going to tell you exactly where I'm going to fish on this lake, but just go over there.
Yeah.
Well, do you see people when they come out on the ice, and maybe they're one of those families who has pretty good success rate? Do people like, oh, there they are, let's see where they go, and kind of follow them and set up near them?
No, you'd probably get lynched.
Really?
Well, then.
Down on the ice.
All right.
So
it's not like fishing where, you see you see a guide out there, and then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, you see all these other boats start to congregate around them. There are sections of the lake where it's more likely to be successful. And you'll see, they call them shanty towns, where you'll see, 500 shacks all kind of in the same little area.
Right.
But
you talk about,
no, you don't really follow them back out. You probably will get a beat down.
What happened to Danny? Oh, they put him under the ice.
Well,
yeah.
Well, what scares me also is you're talking about all these shanties, right? A bunch of shanties.
One spot.
They're all cutting holes in the ice, making the hole and making
Swiss
the ice
cheese.
into Swiss cheese. I'm like, man. And like you said, Carrie, this season can go on for a while. I mean, it's like, ooh, that could be fun. But yeah, definitely don't ask, hey, is this your favorite spot? Obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
And two, yeah, that is a concern, especially after opening weekend where most people are out there. So you take little sticks with like, I don't know, pink spray paint or something on the edges, and you're supposed to put them on the four corners. Some people don't. You have to be really careful, especially after opening weekend of where you're driving, and you really have to pay attention. But a lot of the fisheries and the fishing groups, they'll go out there and they'll plow lanes, especially if there's a lot of snow. They'll plow lanes and they mark them with Christmas trees, so that you're not just driving willy-nilly around on the lake.
Okay, kind of a trail to Shantytown on this side or that side or wherever.
Yes. Yep.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Very helpful.
You know what? And I tell you what, this time, the sturgeon spearing, like you said, it's a great icebreaker to do in February to break up the winter of what you're doing. But tourism and everything else has got to generate decent amount of money for that area just for this purpose.
Oh yeah, they make a gazillion dollars even just this weekend. This year a lot of people didn't come up, and it was a big economical hit because a lot of these bars, hotels, restaurants, they all rely on a lot of these bigger, especially in the winter events, and so. Well,
right. If you don't have, I know up in the UP where I'm at, if you have as soon as hunting season ends and you got the locals, you got the holidays, but then they start relying on snowmobile season.
Right.
You don't have that, and then they're not going to have a winter. And here, you guys got this in this area of Winnebago to have this sturgeon town, basically. That helps, and getting through the winters is a ton of what these cities and counties need up north for us in the UP for sure, and you guys over there probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting close here to the midpoint of the show. Why don't we go ahead and take our second break? We come back. I want to get a little bit into the hole because I see you guys use some special equipment to start getting those holes for them. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. And for those of you on the podcast,
you got to go over to the Facebook
or watch the live streams.
Or on Wednesday when I drop the YouTube part, because a lot of these pictures that we're showing in today's show gives a new, something to do during the February timeframe in Wisconsin. Looking down how big is that hole, Carrie?
They vary.
Oh, okay.
I think ours was like 8x4. It can't be. It cannot be more than 48 square feet in diameter.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
You can make it any shape and any size you want, as long as it doesn't go past that 48 square feet.
Yeah, it looks like it's about 1 foot wide by 4 foot long.
And I think...
Oh, no, it's bigger than that. It's, I bet you there's 6 by...
6 by?
2, 4.
Okay.
That looks...
I really don't have... Yeah, I don't have a reference to actually look. These ice houses, that's got to take up probably, a third or half of the floor space in an ice house?
It sure does. Some of these dark houses, you'll have like the single person one. You walk in and there's 2 feet of where you're sitting, and the rest is the hole. So, some of them get so fancy. They get so fancy.
You know what? And Dan Anderson says when we go out there, we would know where Carrie is by the shack that has the heavy metal music playing from it.
Is that true? Is that true, Carrie?
It might be true. Yeah, you're pretty much right.
So, anyways, Carrie, we see a spear here. And is there limits and regulation just around the spear itself, what you're allowed to use?
I don't think so. I think, trying to remember. I don't know. Not that I can think of offhand, but now, of course, I'm probably going to be wrong, and somebody's going to send you mail. This girl don't know what she's talking about.
So have you practiced thrown in the shanty to get an idea of what how heavy that is and getting it down to the bottom?
No, you don't even have to thrust it. It's not like you're Poseidon sending it down. They're super heavy, and all you have to do is take it off the hook and almost just give it a gentle push, and the weight of it will do the rest of the work. And those tines are super sharp, And all you have to do is just get one in there, and they're almost like expandable broadheads where they open up and then it's on, and then the game is on.
And
so
does the water explode? I mean,
it's crazy. If you go to YouTube and you look up sturgeon spearing Wisconsin, you will see the craziest videos. The rule of thumb is always, if you get one, the head of the spear detaches. Usually if you're with another person, you grab the gaff hook, you pull it up, throw everything out of the dark house, because when it breaks that water plane, it's gonna go nuts. These are big fish, 50, 60, 70, 80 pound fish. Some of them are 100 pounds, and they're big. They're, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet long.
Yeah, we haven't shown any pictures yet of fish. I got one up now. Other than the video, we did show a little video, but yeah, these fish are huge.
They're big. They're big and they're strong, and it can take 2 people to get them out, and you're fighting with them, and it's crazy.
I would like to see you with a gaff hook pulling one of them things out of the hole. That would be awesome.
Man, I know.
Yeah, they definitely look like they're upwards over 100 pounds easily, right?
Some of them are, yeah. I forget what the biggest one was this year.
I know that you're showing a picture of one with a lady holding it. And it looks like she's giving it all she's got to hold it, and then the other one is a gentleman holding it. But I can see that he's using his knee to kind of It looks like it's nice, big, heavy fish. Oh, and there you go. The one picture you got, they're using a tractor to hold them up.
Yeah. So the largest fish speared on Lake Winnebago this year, was 123 pounds and 73 inches long.
Wow.
So that's 6 feet long, 123 pounds. Can you imagine wrestling that bugger through the ice?
I can understand what you mean by when that breaks the water plane in that house. You're going to be aiming for that door as fast as you can go.
Yes. Because you guys have been muskie fishing or fishing for northern pike or something. You get them out of the water and they're like, oh hell no.
Yeah, it's game on.
Yeah.
It's like a wrestling match trying to wrestle an oiled hog or something.
Exactly.
They're all over the place. Now, talking about the size of the fish and how big and how long they are, when you take them in to get them checked, do they age? Is there a way to age them or no?
They do. They age them. They weigh them. They usually check for roe. They check to see if it's one of the ones that were tagged and all that. The biologists they take a ton of measurements, and it's a really interesting thing to see when somebody brings one in, what they all do to it.
So, and they've also you have to tag them, I assume, or you got your permit, and then you have to take them, have them checked to a special station to have them checked in.
Yes, and I think there's 13 check-in stations on Lake Winnebago.
And that's where they do all the sample, take all the samples and all that.
Yes.
Okay. So
now the age is a big one. So that guy that took the 123-pound sturgeon, 72 inches, you're looking at I don't know, it's more than 30, 40 years old.
Wow.
So yeah.
Incredible. We were just looking at something here online before we got you on the Skype, and there was a bear that lived 39 and a half years and died of old age, and we're like, that's incredible.
That.
And you think 39 years, but fish, I don't know, something that big, there's nothing that's really going to eat that thing. I wouldn't think. There's no predatory fish for them, are there?
No.
So
they're just slow growers, and they have a hard time reproducing. So.
And why is that?
Boy, you're asking me questions. I should know the answer.
So this year's spearing season in Lake Winnebago, they actually got a total of 811 sturgeon. They were harvested, and 69 fish were registered. 60 of which came from Lake Winnebago, and 9 came from the upper river lakes. So,
and I think there's about 400, 500 tags that were sold for the upriver, so you can. That shows you the percentage of success rate.
Okay, right. And the biggest one was 122.9 pounds and the 72 inches, like you said. So the largest one from the upper river area was 55 pounds and 59 inches.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, they go into a daily harvest, what they're doing for the season, stuff like that. But, that is so cool. And I know I was looking at the Michigan sturgeon spearing report for the year, and they went back because there's only 6,
right?
like the one male, and they told you they captured it in 2011. They captured it in 13, 15, and 19. So they're really, one thing nice about the DNRs here between both your state and our state, they're really watching this so they don't get overfished, overpot. They're doing what they need to do. So obviously a party in Winnebago keeps going.
Right on. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, looking at, kind of getting back, we talked about this in the break. I want to talk a little bit about the hole. The sheer size of the hole, number one, to me is, you look at that thing, it's like you could throw somebody through it, but you guys actually use chainsaws to cut these holes and then big poles to push these big ice slabs under?
We do. Cut and day, and that's probably, weirdly enough, probably my favorite part of the whole thing is using them chainsaws. It's so fun.
Well, we gotta. There was a picture of you here doing it, and I think it's you. And you're wielding that chainsaw, and you are just cutting that hole in that ice. And I'm sure anytime you use a chainsaw,
it's crazy and they're super long and they're ice saws, so really sharp. My buddy Lee Schneider in years past, it's hilarious. I'm always like, can I come out with you on cut-in day and cut in some holes and stuff? And he's like, sure, come on. He's got a show, Boot Track Adventures. They have a couple of really good episodes on sturgeon spearing too. He's got just these huge saws, and you cut them in on an angle, and then you angle it outwards so that you can push down the ice, and you flip it underneath so that it just flows into the lake.
Okay, so that makes sense. I'm looking at the picture now where he's got the Husqvarna, and it is. I can see the angle of it, and that makes complete sense of why they cut them on an angle, because you got to push it down, and you don't want it to hang up, and it's got to go under the ice. Okay.
Yeah, you can kind of almost follow the angle of the ice where you could push it, because obviously it's buoyant and it's gonna.
Right.
Pop.
You're right, and then you slide that block underneath the ice, and it just goes with the flow of the.
It does. The current just takes it.
Yep, of the lake. And typically, what depth are you in? Are you in shallower than the 20? Obviously, 22 feet, but maybe not.
Depends on water clarity. It really depends. Usually, between 8 and 12 feet is pretty normal. So.
Now, once you guys cut those holes, like you said, cut in day. How far ahead do you cut those?
Usually the day before.
Day before, okay. Yeah. And that hole will stay open how long? Depends on the temperature, I got to imagine.
Yeah, it does. Well, and remember, the dark house is heated. Mm-hmm. So it's warm all through the day, and then obviously you turn off the heater at night, but if you go out there 3-4 o'clock to get it going. So you might have some skimming, depending on if it's really cold, but it'll stay open for days. So
after the season's done, they pull the ice houses off. I imagine people got to pay real close attention to where they're going, whether it be on a sled, a quad, or a car, or what have you.
You do. Every once in a while, a car will go through because someone didn't mark it.
Oh, oops.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be.
And it's like a ridiculous amount of money to get your. We have towing companies. I don't know. Like Sunken Dive, where they'll go and they set up this huge contraption and it brings up your car. It's nuts. It's like so expensive.
Yeah, they set up the sled and they go hook your car up and they bring it up and it brings your car up and then you tilt it and it brings your car out of the water.
Yep.
One of those things is, you're right. That's got to be a pretty penny to have that.
There's no insurance on the vehicle when it touches the ice, so nope. you lost that.
Well, and the DNR will fine you. Depending on how many days it's in the water.
Yeah, every day it's in the water. I think here in Michigan, I want to see it something ridiculous price of $5,000 or something. I mean, it's steep.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to screw that up. And like you said, after the first weekend, there is all these holes over this. That's crazy.
I know.
Insane. I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's take our last break. We come back. Let's say the rest of the time we got for the end of the show. I want to talk a little bit about, once you've got the fish, what happens with it after that, because I want to talk about how you maybe cook these things, or,
you have a question about that.
Okay, so let's save it for when we come back. So let's step outside. We'll take our last break, and we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, back to the last
segment of the show with Carrie Z. And as we're coming out of that last segment, we were talking about what do you do with them?
Right.
One of the questions Dan Anderson has asked is, can you pickle sturgeon?
Pickle it.
Sure. You sure can.
I don't see why not, right?
Yeah, you absolutely can. A lot of the old timers do.
Okay.
The most popular method of cooking lake sturgeon is to smoke it. Sturgeon has a really interesting texture and taste. If you've ever had shark steaks, it's literally what it tastes like, and the texture is just like that. So not a lot of people aren't a fan.
Well, truthfully, they actually look like that shark, except they're a bottom feeder.
Right.
So that makes sense to me, that the way you just described the texture and taste kind of, they align, right?
Look at that smoker full of
I know, it does look good. My brother caught a 42-inch sturgeon before. It took him 45 minutes to land it. They threw it back, of course, because it was too small. And like I says, they do mostly catch and release up in the St. Clair River here because they do get old. And Jim Wills says he's seen sturgeon on the title, so he stopped by to watch.
Well, thanks for tuning in. You know, now you talk in the commercial break, we're talking about bringing groups up there, that you do some hosting of some people to bring them up for the Sturgeon Spring Winterfest or whatever y'all call it there.
Yes.
Do you have people from, say, out west or maybe down south who aren't used to being on ice?
Yes, and that's always super amusing. In the past, we've had people from Illinois, Alabama, Florida, Texas. A couple years ago, after the Women on Winnebago Fond du Lac Visitors Bureau event just kind of stopped, it ran its course. And I was like, I really like doing this I just love the event so much, and I want to share it with everybody. I'm like the biggest cheerleader when it comes to sturgeon spearing in Wisconsin. So I started on HuntFishTravel. I started hosting these HuntFishTravel hosted group events. And, I put together all the lodging and the accommodations and everything. So all you had to do was just show up with your license already purchased. I mean, obviously you paid your price or whatever. And I coordinated it. And while it was a lot of work, it was really fun. And it was just really cool watching these people who'd never even seen frozen water.
Mm-hmm.
Drive on it with their big rental trucks and or even you're sitting in the dark house and somebody will drive by and everything's shaking and shimmying and it feels like it's an earthquake and you're like, it's all good. And they're like freaking out. Or you'll hear, anybody familiar with ice knows what making ice sounds like.
Yep.
Cracking and popping and snapping, and it's the creepiest sound ever. And it's like a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun just immersing them into the party and the culture itself, and they always had such a good time.
Or they walk up on a pressure crack and they won't cross it.
Yeah, afraid they're gonna fall through it.
No, this looks sketchy. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, been there.
Have you ever had an experience building a fire on the ice and then totally freaking out that you're putting fire on the ice?
I have had arguments on Twitter with people down south when I'll share so during the Sturgeon Spectacular, the first night before opening day, they do this huge bonfire out on the ice, and it's huge, and pallets, and in years past, some of the fishery clubs have created these effigies that they light up, we always joke that sacrificing to the sturgeon gods. People argue with me left and right. You can't have bonfires on the ice. Dude, he rises and there's 3 feet of ice. I don't think it's going to melt. I promise you it's perfectly safe.
Right, exactly.
It's fun.
Speaking of that, how thick is the ice typically on a normal, if you had a normal winter, not a warm or a cold, really cold, but typically are you looking at 30 inches of ice easy?
It varies so much year to year. This year I believe it was 12 inches or 16 inches. I forget what the safe one is for ATVs. But in years past, we've had a solid 3 feet.
Okay, that's we get a Houghton Lake here that we've been to. We had 28 inches or something about that.
22, 23 that year we took the guys from down south.
I was just wondering because after a while, you need to have safe ice for cars.
Right.
Yeah. But
these big trucks. I mean, they're rolling out there with snow plows and stuff, big trucks.
Right.
Well, okay, so we're talking about people from out of state. So let's say Danny and I, we decide we were going to come over. We pay our $65 for our tags to come over and fish. We stop somewhere and we buy a spear, maybe a decoy or what have you. Where do you get ice houses? Do people rent them, or how does that all work?
So, first off, I'm going to let you know that if you've never fished or hunted in Wisconsin, your first tag will be 50% off as a thank you for coming. We,
Nice.
Every year, we had spears from every single county in Wisconsin, and I think like 34 of the other states were represented.
Wow.
You don't have to buy a spear. If you're going to rent, you can rent a dark house, which most people do. I do every year.
Okay.
Because, I don't know. I keep wanting to say I'm going to buy one, and I almost did buy one, and then I'm like, I don't know, what am I going to do with this thing that I use for 2 weeks out of the year? So you can rent them. It's usually $400 a day for a double, $200 a day for a single hole. It comes with the gaff and the spear and the decoys. Everything is there. You literally just have to show up.
Okay.
So you'd go online before August 1st. Oh no, I think it's August 1st for the upriver tags. It's October 31st is the deadline to get your sturgeon spearing license for the next year. You show up, the guide takes you out in the morning, you drive out there, and it's literally the easiest thing you'll ever do.
So when you rent one, they've already got the hole cut. They've got the ice house there. You just show up, you get in, and it's got a heater in it, I assume, with a full tank of gas, and away you go. Okay.
Exactly. It's everything's set up for you.
Bring your own food and drink.
And you hope he's got you in a good spot.
Yeah, you hope.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really fun.
So this is something you'd recommend to anybody from anywhere.
Yes. If you, shameless plug, but if you go to HuntFishTravel.net and search sturgeon spearing, you will see tons of videos and blog posts. And, if you're interested in future trips, just sign up for the newsletter. I'll be probably sending out a notice here in June or July that we're going to start planning for next year.
Okay. Well, we've got a few minutes left. What's going on with HuntFishTravel here in the last couple months? Or what's coming up?
Well, I've kind of been on a little bit of hiatus. I got a new job. I bought a new house, like all this stuff.
A little busy in life?
Real life adulting. So now that I'm settled, getting back on track with that, last summer I acquired the rights to the BowCast podcast, which is where I originally got my start with, which you guys actually recommended back in the day. How many years ago? Like 10, 11, 12?
No, it was just a couple years ago. We're not that old.
We'll keep it at a couple.
We're not that old.
Like a decade. Don't let them kid you.
Seriously, it has been a while because this is our 14th season. We've been doing this 14 years in April. It's insane. 2009,
I started writing for BowCast.
10 years.
And now you have the rights to it.
And now I own the show myself. It's literally come full circle. My original plan was to launch it before the Archery Trade Association convention. But again, then I bought a house and, all the chaos that comes with that. And so I'm gonna try and relaunch it this summer. There's a lot of interest. There was a lot of people really excited about it when I told them that I had purchased the show and the logos and the rights to it completely. It is mine, 100%.
That is awesome news.
I think it'll be cool.
Absolutely.
But
you
HuntFishTravel isn't going away though either. It's still going to be, where to go, where to stay, where to eat, that type of thing. Just focusing on locations, but BowCast will give me more of an archery focus.
Well, for people like us that we do venture outside of Michigan every now and then, and when we do, something like what you provide is so valuable to already have like a leg up, knowing where to go maybe and stay, or where to go eat, or maybe a different guide to try in the area. Because if you're going in blind, you can really be lost and waste a lot of time, a lot of money. So, you're providing a great service to people.
Well, the show started out so differently in the beginning. And I think like most podcasts, you kind of find your footing after the first year or two. Mm-hmm. And I was just doing the same kind of episodes that everybody else was doing. And I was like, I literally spend more time planning hunt than hunting. Right. So maybe I'll start talking to these visitors bureaus and stuff, and they are just a wealth of information, and they have media contacts, so they're really good interviews, and it's just been a really good niche for me.
Well, like you just said, the hunting part is maybe your 2 through 5, 7 days that you're going to be there, but up until that point, you got to figure out how you're going to go there, where you're going to stay, what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
There's a lot more involved. How you going to pack, and, we talked to Tim, you get these special housewarming gifts of a tin can with a bunch of mouse traps. You want to know what you're getting into.
Right.
Even just navigating if you're Western hunting, even just navigating the preference points and the applications and the lotteries and the draws is insane.
And that's something that we've not really ever talked a lot about, but I've got a friend who applies to all the Western states for elk hunts and mule deer and everything, and he goes through it with me. I'm like, this is so confusing, but he's got
really complex.
There's a service he pays for, and they do all the draws for him. They put in all. Sure. They say, well, what is your niche? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And you pay them a fee, and then they take care of all that. So, yeah, you're right. It's I know when I was getting ready for my elk hunt this year here in Michigan, when I drew that tag, I was like, okay, yay, I got one. No, wait a minute. Okay,
now what?
I got to figure out where I'm staying. I got to find a guide. I got to know where to go. Yeah. Where am I going to eat? And all that stuff. And it's just like it was almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it by yourself. But yeah, you provide a great service for that. So.
Thanks.
So coming up though, you're going to do the Sturgeon trip. So that's when again?
Yes. So I'll probably announce it early summer. The deadline for the tag is October 31st. And then the season is always the second weekend in February.
Okay. Second weekend in February.
Second weekend in February.
Which is when we're always at the deer necropsy every single year.
Every year. We're at the necropsy and she's at the ice.
Yeah.
It does run 16 days. So, I mean, we could schedule something like that second weekend,
there you go.
That it's open.
Usually, wait a minute. Is that, I'm trying to remember.
It's usually Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah. That's usually when we're up there, though, I think. So maybe the first weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, cool.
We just have to carve some time out. That's the big issue, just carving some time out and planning the trip and making sure you do it.
But it does sound like a heck of a trip to make over to Wisconsin and Lake Winnebago for their sturgeon spearing extravaganza.
Yeah.
So we got to try.
Do they have a parade?
No. They do have a 2K run or something like that. I don't know. Everybody wears these hideous sturgeon hats and stuff. They're awful.
I am shocked they do not have a parade. Because this just begs for a sturgeon parade.
Right
on.
Well, suggest it to the Commerce City.
Yeah.
Then you could be the sturgeon queen.
No thanks.
No thanks.
They'll make me wear one of those hideous hats. No, thank you.
If I come over there, you will wear one of those hats.
I should dig out. I do have a picture of me wearing. It's awful. It's ridiculous. I'll try to find it and send it to you. It's hysterical. You may never show it to anyone else, though.
You don't want us to put it on the episode, then?
No.
For the love is holy. No.
Oh, that's good stuff. So now, kind of getting back to BowCast, you said when can we start to see some things coming out of that? Maybe.
I'm thinking June.
June-ish?
I've got a bunch of stuff already done. Now I just have to get the interviews recorded and just kind of get the ball rolling.
Okay. All right. Anything new in the archery arena for you that you're taking up or you're looking forward to besides that?
Not offhand. Nope. That's my number one focus.
Okay. Well, Dana and I, we're trying to decide whether to go out of state and try to do the Total Archery Challenge again this year. But Michigan sold out just like that quick. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It went really quick. But I tell you, if you ever get a chance to shoot one of those, definitely go check it out.
It would be nice if they had one in Wisconsin. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
They tried one year, and they just couldn't get enough pre-sales to make it worth, which is crazy to me because we have, the Reinhardt shoot up in Sparta, and we have BowFest now, and and those sell out.
Have you been to? We talked about that last night, actually. Strangely enough, have you been to BowFest up there?
No, we were supposed to go last year, and then real life happened.
Right.
We've got it on the books for this year, though.
When is it?
It's in August, I think.
Oh, it's an August date. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
they have like big name artists. It's again, Wisconsin throws a party.
And that's another big archery 3D shoot type thing, right?
It is.
Multiple courses?
Yes.
Okay.
Similar to the Total Archery, only with a secondary large emphasis on the party part of it.
Right.
The bands and the music and
So make sure you go shoot the course first on the first day and then relax.
Party hardy.
Then relax on the last couple of days.
So fourth annual in Fond du Lac, right? Is that where that's where it's at?
Is that
this year? No. Oh, that's why, because it was so far north. It's like way at the top.
It's at the Mount du Lac Resort.
It's all the way at the top of Wisconsin, which is nice in August because then it's not so.
Well, this year's BowFest, the fourth annual BowFest, which is July 23rd through the 26th.
Okay, July.
Ted Nugent on Friday, Charlie Daniels on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I know they have. I think they've got those are just the main acts, but I think they got acts leading up to the main acts.
Probably all throughout the day.
Right.
What are tickets prices?
Okay.
Let's look. Buy tickets.
We got Danny
it's up in like Superior. Like I said, if you GPS it, it's about as far north in Wisconsin as you can get.
So it ranges from a BowFest pass from $109 parking to OPA shoot, which is Organization of Professional Archers. That's $299 to $500. So you'd have to look and see what we needed.
So anywhere from $100 to $500.
Yeah.
For the weekend, depending on what you wanted to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is a huge. I think last year T-Bone was up there. Mm-hmm. One of them was up there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it looks like they got 1, 2, 3, 4 courses to go and try. So it is one big happening thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're running up here towards the end of the show. I'll give you an opportunity. Where can people find all of your work at? Hunt, Fish, Travel, and do you have the web yet locked down for BowCast?
I do. So Hunt, Fish, Travel, you can find the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, whichever you prefer. Spotify, pretty much anywhere. You can find it on Facebook. You can listen right through there. HuntFishTravel.net, or you can BowCast. I'm checking now to make sure I'm not lying. I do think I have it up. Because I started the website and then I took it down and then I restarted it again.
Gotcha.
So BowCast.net. Because the previous host had BowCast.com, pod faded, let it go, and of course some pirate picked it up and wants like $5,000 for it. I'm like, whatever.
So he can keep it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, well, thank you for outpricing yourself.
Right, right, exactly. And just a heads up on this coming BowFest as I'm finding things. Levi Morgan, Michael Waddell, Brett and Nicole Larson, Tim Wells, Pat and Nicole Reeves, Brian Lewis.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, Melissa Bachman's going to be there. Nate Hosey's going to be there. Nick Munt.
Wow.
So as far as the archery world's going, they're going to have a
bunch of A-listers.
Yeah, exactly. And there's it says live music all weekend.
Good deal.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So HuntFishTravel.net, BowCast.net. Sign up for the newsletters there.
There you go, folks. Get over there and make sure you get it done. I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast portion of the show here, but we'll stay on for a few minutes for the live stream. And as always, for those of you on the podcast, you can catch us next week. Make sure if you like the show, give us a like, give us a follow, share it, on your social media pages, and always check us out over on YouTube for the live stream version. Y'all take care, and we'll see you again next week. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on GoodTalkRadio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Mac,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.